Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. I look like garbage. I'm probably going to sound like garbage, but I'm still cool. And so is my co host, Sancho. Sancho, have you been, brother?
Dude, I am in this weird phase with my mustache where I have to let it grow out a little bit longer because it's like where it's bristled. So it's like sticking out. And I'm just trying to catch up to Dom, dude. I don't know how he does it. You know what I mean? That stash is looking so good.
Well, you got to shave like the beard part to get a really good look as to where the stash is at.
Dude, I can't do that.
You can't pull it off?
I can't. I have to have the mullet, dude, the luscious mullet. Dude, what a week for Dominic Mysterio. What a month. 2 weeks for Dominic, and he's instantly back into the top of the echelon of the heel world.
Dude, Dominic Mysterio is just so damn good. Just so
right?
good at his job. One of the things that I've pointed out about Dominic Mysterio recently is that where he excels is making people around him entertaining. He's obviously like he's good in the ring and he's gotten better in the ring since his early days with Rey Mysterio and that tag team, but his magic is elevating the people around him and making them into really entertaining pieces of TV. Like, think about Carlito. Carlito right now is the best he's been used because of just his one-liners with Dominic Mysterio. His interactions with Damian, to me, are priceless. This is the best work of Liv Morgan's career. And Rhea Ripley, a lot of people believe that when she was with Dom, that's really what helped catapult her career. Dominic is a kingmaker.
Ooh, you mean just look at it. He flexes into the role. I think you said it best, but when it comes down to like he's with Rhea, he acts a little bit more shy, more introverted, more beaten down, you know? And then when he goes with Dominic and then Damian, it's more like a father-son relationship. And then with Finn and JD, they're all the boys. So more on Dom later, but I just want to get, I don't know how he does it, dude. There's some magic in that stash, dude.
I think there's performance enhancers. I think that there's hair product in that. There's no way it's that beautiful, you know?
You ever seen there's like they make a flat iron for beards?
No.
It's like made for beards so you could stretch it out and make it grow long.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
I don't know if he does that.
That's what you should do.
I'll burn myself.
What's that? I tried to dirty Dominic Mysterio.
Big old Band-Aid right here like Nelly did.
Well, folks, welcome to the Wrestling is Cool podcast. You already know it's the coolest podcast on the planet. I have no proof to say this. The biggest fan-run wrestling podcast on the planet as well. Fact check me if you want. I don't know, but it does feel that way. It does feel that way because of all of the love and support that we get across YouTube, the audio services, and of course over on Patreon, where the podcast is a giant hit every single week. Come check it out. You would be getting it 3 days early over there at patreon.com/Santi Zap. But we've really sweetened the pot, Sancho. It's not just the podcast. It's not just us being like, give me money, please, for no reason whatsoever. We give you content. You are paying for extra content. You get the podcast 3 days early. You get the Raw review. You get the SmackDown review. There's a rivalry brewing between those two reviews, between Sancho reviewing SmackDown, the B tier show, and Santi, the A host of the A show. It only makes sense. And then count them. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Wrestling is Cool Match Club episodes every week, which is our watch-alongs of wrestling matches that you get to vote on. And those are exclusive to Patreon. You will never see them anywhere else because we just simply cannot show them anywhere else because of the nature of the type of content that they are. Sometimes it's really violent. Sometimes it's a Necro the Butcher match. Sometimes it's Edge versus Mick Foley, WrestleMania 22. You just can't show that on like public feeds without getting some sort of plus 18 label and then getting blackballed by any sort of algorithm. You got to come over to Patreon, patreon.com/Santi Zap.
Do we make the announcement here that we're going to do something special for the road to SummerSlam for the Patreons? Are you down? Are you ready to make the announcement, my friend?
Sure. All right. You go.
I will do this. For the folks of the Patreon and the support, we will be doing some belts giveaways for the people that sign up for Patreon at least the $5 tier. Isn't that right, Santi?
Yes.
And you get a chance to win some replica WWE official merch. What were you thinking? The United, you Undisputed? Is that what we're thinking?
why don't we just let people vote?
Oh, cool.
You know, like what belts do you want? What belts do you want? And so we'll
24/7 belt.
Yeah, dude, no, don't give them that idea. They'll troll and they'll vote for the 24/7 belt.
It's such an ugly belt, dude.
It looks like
a belt.
It looks like an arcade token just slapped on a belt, dude. That's what it looks like. And then the other semi-announcement is that for this road to SummerSlam, our match club for the next couple of weeks is going to be SummerSlam themed. We're going to put up for voting some of the most popular, maybe some of the most infamous, worst SummerSlam matches for you to vote on, for Sancho and I to watch, review, critique, and give our reactions to. All of that will be available on the Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZap. Check the description of wherever it is that you might be watching.
Quick story. I don't know if I told you the story. Tell me if I did. Now, just stop me. So I'm out buying some liquor, right, for the 4th of July.
Some liqueur.
Liqueurs. Some what was it? Some libations, as Cody Rhodes would say. So I'm out there buying some fun, and I see on the right there's a sign that says like, employee picks, and I see in those employee pick section wrestlers like Ric Flair, Macho Man. I'm like, ooh. Someone's a wrestling fan here. I smell a wrestling fan. I get excited and I look over and I go to the clerk. And if you're listening, this is my Pretty Woman moment. This is my Julia Roberts moment. You know what I'm saying? So I look over and I go, who's the wrestling fan here? And he goes, we all are. And I'm like, oh, okay. So what's your favorite modern day wrestler? Because they're all old school wrestlers. He's like, the golden era is the only era of wrestling.
Oh.
And I'm like, no. Oh no,
brother.
I know, and I go, all right. So I'm trying to navigate the situation because, as you know, the people at Wrestling is Cool, and especially our patrons and the community that Santi Zap has built, we are, there's not a lot of us around in the public space, in the public eye. We are shunned, and so I'm excited that I found a wrestling fan, and so I go, all right, well, let me kind of throw the olive branch out there, so to speak, and I go, Jake the Snake Roberts, very intense promos, very underrated. Yeah, very underrated. And I go, Rick Rude, very underrated. One of my favorite guys back in there. Nothing. No sells everything about this conversation. And then I go, what's your favorite match or something, right? I throw that out again. He goes, SummerSlam 92. Look it up. Best night of wrestling of all time. And I go, I'm trying to scratch my brain, and I go, "What was the main event?" He goes, "Google it." And I'm like, "All right, well, I'm out. I tap out." He submitted me out, and you know what was the main event of that card, Santi?
Was that the British Bulldog and Bret Hart? Yeah, okay.
Look at you!
Dude, come on, that's a. Look it up, Sancho. Do you not know SummerSlam 92? I'm with that guy. You suck. Get out of here, casual.
And in my mind, when I looked it up, when I got to the car, right, with my libations, I look it up and I go, Red Hart, British Bulldog. I'm like, come on. The greatest night of wrestling. and the rest of the card is just awful. Awful.
That's the famous thing of like the golden era in the 90s. Like if you have one legendary match on a card, sometimes people just think that show was amazing when it wasn't, because you're right. SummerSlam 92 is booty cheeks. But no, Bret Hart Bulldog is fantastic.
I will not look. The rest of the card has Jim Duggan, the Bushwhackers versus the Mountie and the Nasty Boys, Papa Shango versus Tito Santana, Legion of Doom versus Money Inc., which is Ted DiBiase and IRS. Hey, awesome. And then you have Virgil in the match, Rick Martel versus Shawn Michaels.
Virgil.
You have Natural. Rest in peace, Virgil. We have Natural Disasters and the Beverly Brothers. You have Crush versus the Repo Man at the 7th match. Crush versus the Repo Man, one of the biggest jobbers of all time. Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage. The Undertaker versus Kamala. Wow, that's a name that you wouldn't see in 92. And then you have Tatanka versus the Berserker, and then British Bulldog versus Bret Hart. That's an 11-match card.
That's the best night of wrestling, Sancho. I'm with that guy.
In that match, Warrior and Savage was 28 minutes, and British Bulldog and Bret Hart was 25 minutes.
Man, that actually...
Don't be that guy.
Honestly, a lot of wrestling fans weirdly are that guy, and I don't get it because you said it. There aren't enough of us for us to be gatekeeping
Yeah.
like be wrestling because of certain eras. Like, I don't get that. And I'm going to call you out, Attitude Era marks. I'm calling you out. You guys are turning into that guy. Slowly but surely, you are turning into the golden age of wrestling is the only age of wrestling. The Attitude Era, nothing will ever be good as the Attitude Era. Some of y'all are turning slowly, metamorphosizing into those people. So just recognize that you just shouldn't gatekeep wrestling and wrestling conversations because of you have some particular love for some era, because the amount of times I've had attempted conversations with Attitude Era guys that are like, nah, don't want to hear it if it's not Stone Cold. It's like, well, then we're done. The conversation's over. You don't want to talk. You aren't a wrestling fan. You're a fan of the 90s. That's what you are.
Look, man, I've worked retail. I know small talk is sometimes ass.
Sales.
I get it.
Sales.
It's the worst. But this is wrestling small talk, all right? Throw me a freaking bone here, man. I brought up Rick Rude, one of the original members of DX, for crying out loud. Give me some love.
Do you think that he hasn't watched anything of what's going on right now?
I firmly believe so. 100%. Especially, how can you... This was the 4th of July, so you still had WrestleMania 40. I mean, how can you say that that's not one of the greatest nights compared to SummerSlam 92? I would firmly believe so, but enough to have wrestlers in your store as your picks. Maybe it wasn't his idea. I don't know. But clearly, it has stuck with me. This conversation has stuck with me.
Dude, I'm sorry. That's such a hilarious power play. Look it up.
I'm like, and I'm with my brother-in-law, and I'm like, trying to hang out. You know what I mean? I'm out here buying libations, brother.
You're trying to hit up those libations and go, hey,
yeah, hey, yeah. Official yeet, dude. He's such a clown, dude. He is a clown. Jey Uso has by far been one of the kind of guys that I'm excited to see what he does, because I feel like he has what's the word I'm looking for? No rules. He's unregulated.
Sure.
Just go out there and do your thing and yeet once in a while, but it's as if he's taken an inch and grown a mile. Like, this word yeet, we thought it was just so stupid, and he's gotten it over in 2024.
That's actually the impressive part. In 2024, yeet was over in 2016 with Logan Paul, for goodness sakes. Like, yeet is old, all right? Any zillennial will call you a boomer if you say yeet outside of a wrestling circle, in my opinion. Look, I'm with you. I do believe that he's been given an inch and has taken a mile. But when is that mile gonna end in when is it gonna end? Like, when is he gonna win something where him taking that? To? Yeah, I do. I do think I do, because look, for example, right now, going into SummerSlam, one of the biggest baby faces right now, most popular guys, Jey Uso. What's he doing? What's the feud? Is it him and Dominic? But that's the thing. Even if it is him and Dominic, that's just secondary to Rhea and Liv. How can you be this popular, this over with the crowd, and not have anything for SummerSlam that's taking shape? Explain that to me. And I feel like it's because he doesn't win anything big. He doesn't win any singles accolades.
You know what? I could have been in your camp about a week ago. But look at it. It doesn't matter. It's clearly not affecting how great and over he is, and how hilarious he is on screen, and how magnetic he still is, and how when he still is someone you want to see. He's not go away heat right now. I would argue the same for LA Knight. I felt the same way, but I feel that it's kind of different with Jey, because he always has that card, the ace up the sleeve, Santi. They could just put him back in the bloodline storyline and immediately shoots right up to the moon. I know you're the Jey Uso fans that want a match at SummerSlam. Clearly, him just being around and having fun is enough for the WWE, and it's enough for his fans.
Why couldn't he be Mr. Money in the Bank? I know we really already beat this dead horse into a bloody pulp, but
oh wow, whoa!
I wanted the visual. They took my boy. They took my boy the Money in the Bank briefcase. Look what they did to my boy Sancho.
Oh, it's over. It's done. It's burned. They burned it.
They burned it for. And I know if you listened to last week, I'm not gonna hark on this forever. They burnt it on something that didn't need burning. It was already burning, no concerning, because nobody want us. Look, I'm even quoting Sean Paul now with how unnecessarily burned this was. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk didn't need this. Think how much more fun it would be for Jey Uso to be running around with this. You mentioned the trump card, getting involved in the bloodline. The Money in the Bank briefcase, not that he needs an excuse for it, but if you wanted a logical reason as to how to really quickly insert him into that, it was the Money in the Bank briefcase. He was the only guy in that ladder match that could realistically have gone after both titles and have it make sense and have him actually be a threat to both titles. Because that's one of the big apologist argument for it was fine to burn the Money in the Bank briefcase, that no one would believe any one of those winners if Gunther and Cody Rhodes, and I'm even doing a little dance, if Gunther and Cody Rhodes are the champions, they're never going to get cashed in on. How do you know? How do you know? But Jey Uso could have gone after either sets of titles. He still had unfinished business with Gunther. He still has unfinished business with the Bloodline, who's going to be surrounding like sharks that undisputed title picture. And he could have been so much more fun than he already is carrying around the Yeet in the Bank or the Mun Yeet in the Bank. I don't know what he was calling it.
I feel like Triple H just said that in his plan, there's no room for the case this year. Maybe next year, Santi, you could get your little Money in the Bank pacifier. You could get your little pinky and feel a little bit better. Why do we do this voice when we're making fun of somebody? Oh! But I, you know what? I just feel that with Jey in the briefcase, I think it just adds too much questions. And I think we just have a bad taste in our mouths, or Triple H had a bad taste in his mouth from last year and trying to deal with how we're going to cash it in. And at the same time, if it faded into the background, it would have made it so much exciting to when they do cash it in. But like I said, Tiffany Stratton, Money in the Bank, you're going to see how it should have been booked for the men.
I already don't like how they're treating her. Like right off the rip, a fake cash in, bro. We talked about this. Just let it be in the background. Let it, like, don't hit us over the head with it. We know she has it. We don't need the constant will she, won't she every single week. And right off week one, they're already doing it. The best Money in the Bank cash-ins are the one where the actual holder has borderline faded into obscurity. Just let that happen and then boom, cash in and have a super memorable cash in, because they're doing it again, bro. I know you have faith for it, but they're doing it again, just like they did with the Damian Priest. It's going to be different. It's gonna be a series of unfortunate failed cash-ins. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but it's different. She didn't like fail. She just tried to, and then she was like, "Oh, never mind." You mean teases? That's what you're talking about. You don't want to be teased. You don't want to be Adam Copeland about this entire situation. Correct. You don't want to go for the ride. You can't just enjoy the shenanigans that the briefcase can have sometimes. Make up your mind, all right? They burned it, and this time they were teasing it. What do you want? You just wanted to go on a shelf somewhere in the streamer room of Zelina Vega in the background and just have it sitting there waiting to be used, just in case of emergency. You've already said it. Break just in case there's something going wrong with the title picture. Break just in case someone gets injured. That's what you want the Money in the Bank to be used for?
I think every single one of those scenarios is better than burning it for no reason.
They didn't burn it for no reason.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did, Sancho. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. There is no reason to burn it for what they did.
They did it to make Drew more. Come on, dude. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk is at the point where it's going to boil. It's like a lava, dude. It's like a volcano.
It already was. But now that was already Mount Kilimanjaro, whatever it's called in Iceland. That's always. Yeah, that's not the one in Iceland. That one's in Africa.
Not a scientist. I'm just a wrestling fan, and then you understand. But my point I wanted to make is, This is going to be built up to Gojira levels, dude. Godzilla levels. The two titans, they're going to obliterate the entire WWE. That's what's happening with CM Punk. The fallout of Drew McIntyre CM Punk will be catastrophic, and you needed to burn the briefcase to build up to that catastrophic levels.
It already was. It
already. Okay, okay? You're talking about the difference between an F3 tornado and an F5 tornado. This is going to be now an F5 tornado because of the briefcase has been sacrificed.
I disagree. It was already an F5 tornado, man. It already was.
It's been sacrificed, dude. It's been thrown into the pit.
You could have done all the same things and have
Punk sacrifice.
You could have just had Punk cost him the Money in the Bank ladder match. Not the actual cash in.
We meet again.
With arms wide open. Dude, this is what happens anytime somebody opens up the can word that is Creed. Everyone just starts singing.
Hey, you said Creed. The Creed brothers.
Oh, nice, dude. My goodness. The transition. Oh, the transition god Sancho.
The yeetrition.
We did not plan the Sancho. Go ahead, Creed brothers.
Finally, I'm so happy that the Alpha shoe has fell for the Alpha Academy, and they gave Chad Gable the best two people that you could have. The Creed brothers looking like money in their suits. I think this is great for their careers. I do find it interesting that they are going like head up against the Wyatt Six, which is kind of reminds me. There was a movie, I forget which Friday the 13th that it was. There was a guy that was a boxer that was like, I'm gonna just go up and fight Jason Voorhees.
You know what I mean? It's so true. I know exactly what Friday the 13th you're talking about. Oh,
yeah, no. He's like, all right, forget it. I'm just gonna punch him for some reason. He gets like 5 punches in and then gets decapitated.
He gets one punched.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of reminds me of that, and reminds me of the Dream Warriors as well, like we talked about in the past of Nightmare on Elm Street. But I don't know, man. I think when it comes down to that segment, and I know we'll get more on the Creed brothers, but overall, that segment of the idea of Bo Dallas, Eric Rowan, Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, maybe not Nikki Cross, but all those guys actually have an alternate ego that is the Wyatt Six, and then they can wrestle as themselves. I find that very interesting.
It's the only way they could have done it. Like, if you think about it, if you went too supernatural with it, if you made it so that their alter ego was their entire persona from head to toe, which is exactly how Vince McMahon would have done it, by the way. Vince McMahon he was never the type to really have the ability to create deep narrative characters like this, in my opinion. He would have just been like, you're just the big bunny, dude. That's just what you are. And you think I'm exaggerating, but then, he gave them a big giant hammer. You guys are the Bludgeon Brothers now. That's what you are. Like, Vince really,
your name is Puke. You're gonna puke,
dude. He would dumb people down to like the simplest aspect of their gimmick and say, this is just what you are.
Right.
So I'm really happy that into this direction we can explore more of the human psyche. Really understand why these are the Wyatt Six. What is wrong with them? What trauma have they gone through to have them turn to this almost cult-like leader that is now Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy, who is, which, by the way, this is how every cult in real life begins, targeting those that are the most vulnerable, the most ostracized from society. And that's what I'm seeing the Wyatt Six as. I love that we're getting what I think I'm interpreting is their videotapes of the conversations with the psychiatrist that we got on Twitch. I feel like these are like the leaked tapes per se, because then we can see, hey, what is wrong with this individual? Why is he the way that he is? But there is human emotions behind the actions. This isn't just spooky wooky Dungeon of Doom, mind control by Uncle Howdy. This is a guy that lost two of the closest people to him, and it's not crazy to think that somebody that's gone through this trauma turned to a helping hand, and that helping hand has molded him into this more crazed version of himself. It's really, really neat. It's really, really neat. And this is what you and I called for earlier. And I'm glad that they're doing it, which is these tapes for every member of the Wyatt Six. I was initially a little bit nervous that they were only doing Bo Dallas, but I feel like weight is starting to be lifted. Okay, now we're going to learn a bit more about what the heck is going on with Dexter Loomis and Joe Gacy. Really interested to hear their tapes and their backstories and how they landed here. But man, that Rowan tape, that one cut. That one really hurt.
Definitely heartbreaking. And for Eric Rowan to go vulnerable and to really speak of his feelings or to use those feelings to talk about
I'm
Bray
just
Wyatt.
Rowan. I know. I'm just Rowan.
Yeah, and talk about Brody Lee, of course, aka Luke Harper. I mean, what I do enjoy of this is just to pull it out even further on a meta level, is that they're able to take this tragedy that's happened to them, this pain, and they made it into art. And like he said, taking broken hearts and turning it into art. And that's what they're doing right now. They're taking these sad times in their lives and they're trying to push forward and make something beautiful for it. And I think as wrestling fans, we should try to go along for the ride. And I think when you try to strip away and try to get the allure off or the magic behind the curtain of the Wyatt Six, that's when you start seeing the plot holes in it. But I'm enjoying it for what it is. And I like how, like I said, the Creed brothers being inserted to that, I think you said it, it's a lifeline for their career.
I think it's a lifesaver. I think their career was I thought it was going to be middling. I thought it was really going to go nowhere with how they were initially called up to the main roster. I feel like they were just inserted too high and there was nowhere for them to grow. You know, like when you debut and you're beating every tag team and you're saving Cody Rhodes, dog, you debuted at the ceiling. There is no growth for you. And I think they recognize that mistake and all right, let's pull them back and bring them back in when we have something of substance for them, as opposed to just making them a meme that they come in and save everyone and help you do your taxes.
Side note, I am not enjoying the new tag team finisher of throwing someone into a knee or a running knee.
Oh.
We've seen Zoe Starks and Shayna Baszler do it. Now we see the Creed brothers do it. It looks crazy unsafe, bro.
It is crazy unsafe, but it looks nasty. It does look nasty. But yeah, I think this saves the Creed brothers' career. But the fact that we're dealing with, again, this is all interpretation. You might be interpreting this differently, with people who are going through trauma and are dealing with mental illness and not supernatural beings, makes me interested for this feud, because we saw that they can be hurt. We saw that they are physically vulnerable. This wasn't Seth Rollins versus The Fiend, where he's hitting The Fiend with everything, including a chainsaw, and he keeps getting up. This is Bo Dallas, who got beat up and he got annihilated. Was he laughing? Sure. People cope with laughter all the time for different reasons, right? People get nervous and laugh. People get sad and laugh. People laugh at funerals because it's sometimes just like this visceral reaction, and that's how their emotions work. So we can't, to me, the him laughing through it wasn't being like, I love this, please keep beating me. I saw it as a coping mechanism.
Very Joaquin Phoenix in the Joker.
Yes. That's actually a really, really good way to put it. Yeah.
Same kind of laugh too. And then when he goes, yeah. There's little touches that Bo Dallas has been doing that I feel that has always been there. Bo Dallas has been the talent that gets the details right, and his Bo Leave character was like that.
Santi from Wrestling is Cool podcast.
Yes.
I don't know if I told you this. Bo Dallas was on my flight. Did we talk about this?
I think you made that up. That's me personally.
No,
you made that up. You made that up, dude.
No, Bo Dallas was on my Toronto to New Jersey flight, and I was wondering why New Jersey. He's dating Liv Morgan, who's from New Jersey, and I think maybe that's why.
He's dating Liv Morgan?
Why? As far as I'm concerned, I believe they're still together. Anyways, it was I'm assuming his connecting flight, Ottawa, Toronto, New Jersey. We were on the same Toronto, New Jersey flight. And it was him, especially because then somebody else posted a photo of him in the airport that we were both in. I just didn't want to go up to him. I'm like, dude, this is a connecting flight to the guy. It's like 7 a.m. in the morning. I'm just gonna let him be. But it was Bo Dallas, beefy dude in real life, by the way, not a small guy. I'm a big guy. He's like my size, bro. He's like my size.
No way.
He's a big dude. Yeah. He's a big dude. Very like broad in the chest and the shoulders. I just wasn't expecting it. I don't know. The camera doesn't make him look that big. What I was gonna say is that I guess I don't know if it's like a new thing in flights. You've been on flights recently where before takeoff, almost like steam or smoke comes out of the carry-on baggage, and I was like, oh no, I'm just waiting for the pianos to hit here, because it was early enough where they also like had the plane pretty dark and we had the smoke coming out. It was vibes,
You're
bro.
so dumb.
It was vibes.
So
I was like, oh no.
You're looking at it like this. Is he gonna move?
He's going to the bathroom. He's putting on the Uncle Howdy cosplay.
What's so wild about what they did was when he came out as Bo Dallas with this shirt, I'm like, wow, they are doing it. They are letting Bo Dallas himself be a character. And that to me was shocking, and to say the least, another detail about it. But I don't know, man. Where do we see this match of the Creeds and Gable versus the White Six? I mean, clearly it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be Bo Dallas wrestling. I think it's going to be Joe Gacy, Dexter Lumis, and Eric Rowan.
I would assume that that's going to be the case. And I don't know, man. It's SummerSlam. You want the biggest name, and I think the biggest name is Bo Dallas here. But maybe just the Wyatt Six in general makes this a juicy enough name to put on the card for SummerSlam. But with what they did to Bo, I just have a tough time him not, physically retaliating in some manner, with that being SummerSlam. It has to be a 6-man match though, right? I don't think that it would be a one-on-one match at this point. I don't think that's what they're willing to do here. My question to you is, Ivy Nile, she was part of all of those conversations in the back.
Oh yeah.
Right? The Wyatt Six has a female figure in Abby the Witch that crawls around, presumably Nikki Cross. Ivy Nile, I feel like she also desperately needs this lifeline. Do we throw her this life raft? What do you think?
I think the women's division has too many like weird heels. You know what I mean? Like little heels that they're not world beaters. I don't think we need another heel running around that's a mid-carder, because we already have Zoe, Shayna, and Sonya. I don't think we need another one. And I don't know, I don't think she'll add anything to the feud.
I don't think that those three are set in stone heels, because they went after Damage Control.
Oh, come on.
They went after, they're going to be feuding with Damage Control. I think they're just supposed to be like the badasses. I don't know. Look, I don't think it's set in stone. Bro, I was going to say, if anyone should be on board here, it's you. You thought Drew wasn't the heel for like 8 months.
It's true. He's not a heel. He still isn't heel, dude. That whole Adam Pearce segment was ripped from The Office, dude. Just think about it. He is Michael in The Office, making him apologize in front of anyone. That's something that Michael Scott would do.
100%. You're right. 100%. It was something from The Office.
He's like, come up, refs. Now apologize to him in person. It's like, Adam, do this in the back.
Yeah,
do this in private.
Such poor management from Adam Pearce. I've talked about this before. As a manager, like if we're talking real life, he's a terrible manager. Terrible game planner.
You don't do that in front of everybody, but I just felt so bad for Drew. I was like, why are you doing this? You're embarrassing your top heel in the business and making him say, I'm sorry. He's not going to do that. There's no way. There's no way. Remember that the scene in The Office where Michael Scott's trying to get that guy to get on top of the tables to prove that they are above everybody? It's exactly that awkwardness that I felt the entire time, man.
Oh, man.
Everything revolves around The Office.
It really does. It really does. It always comes back to that, dude.
I wish the WWE was so popular that The Office would have a WWE character on there, like show up as a cameo.
Did they ever? Did they never have any?
Never.
No, they must have.
Never, dude. Come on. Imagine a Triple H.
Man, they had Will Ferrell on there make cameos, and they got Idris Alba. They never got anyone from WWE.
It wasn't popping at the time, man.
I guess so. Yeah, you're right.
It was during your era.
It was a rough era, man. But hey, late Ruthless Aggression era is not as good as people remember. Early Ruthless Aggression era. That was magical. Magic. It was beautiful, man. You had to be there. Quick side about the Ruthless Aggression era. Why it was so good. It's because it was the WWE scrambling to find their next guy. They lost The Rock. They lost Stone Cold. They're like, all right, everyone, time to step up and let's see what sticks. And they tried with like 10 different world champions throughout the early Ruthless Aggression era, which I thought was really, really neat. Because in the late Attitude Era, if you weren't one of 5 guys, you weren't even sniffing that world championship. But in the early Ruthless Aggression era, they tried Lesnar. They retried the Big Show. Kurt Angle here, have a go. Eddie Guerrero, why not? Rey Mysterio, let's see what you got. Randy Orton, Batista, John Cena. Who's gonna take the ball and run with it? That was the beauty of the Ruthless Aggression era. We'll never have that again. Do you realize that? We'll never have the WWE scrambling to fit the top of the card anymore because of how good their performance center is and how good they are at just being a machine that churns new WWE top tier talent whenever they want. Or go out and get themselves a Stephanie Vaquer or a Julia or, a big name from the indies, which they don't have to do anymore because their machine is just so efficient. At this point, we'll never have the magic of the WWE trying to make things work out.
You know what I do believe will happen, because you stumbled upon my quick Sancho's predictions. World famous. John Cena will appear on the remake of The Office.
He has to. He's so perfect for it. He would be so good.
Calling it. Another prediction, because we're still talking about the Creed brothers and all that kind of stuff in the tag team divisions. The Revival will return. There is no reason why DIY is using the Shatter Machine. There is no reason. It makes no sense for them to start using it. FTR comes back.
It made sense when they won the tag titles in Toronto because that was like their big feud to win the NXT tag titles in Toronto. I got it. I was like, yo, that's such a neat callback. That was cool. And then they used it the week after, and I was like, I don't know about this. It's either I don't like it, it feels like thievery, or it's something else in the works.
It's like that scene in Twister with Bill Paxton when he's standing up there looking at the sky. You ever seen that? Come on, you've seen Twister, right?
No.
Oh my God.
Go ahead. Tell me your outdated movie reference.
They call him the human doppelganger, dude, because he could just smell the tornado coming. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm Bill Paxton looking at the sky and I'm going, the Revival's coming back. You just feel it. There's something afoot.
You couldn't.
Would you like?
There were like a million different, more popular movie references
Wrong.
You could have used.
That's the best one.
You still could have gotten there. People with premonition powers.
No, it's
There's
not
so many movies, bro.
It's not my fault. You're so dumb you didn't see Twister. It's one of the greatest top 25 summer blockbusters of all time that's ever been released from an American film cinema.
Never seen it. Never heard of it.
You're telling me Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton running around as tornado chasers?
Who's Helen Hunt? Who? Name me 20 Helen Hunt movies. See? Couldn't name me 20. Clearly not a big name.
Oh my God. There's one with Mel Gibson. That's what comes from mind. But Helen Hunt's awesome, dude.
I just hit you with you're good at math. Name me every number then.
The Pythagorean theorem. But no, I feel that in regards to that, I feel like the tag team division is kind of finally shaping up to be in a space. But overall, you mentioned Stephanie Vaquer, right? Or as you said, Vaquer. Another Sancho prediction, fresh hop. She would join Damian Priest in some sort of way, some sort of faction. Because she is a Lucha Rhea Ripley through and through.
So she's definitely bound for NXT because she's just been she's too not WWE in terms of like knowing the WWE product
Right,
system,
hard
right? Like,
cam and all that stuff.
I think you gotta go with NXT for a little while. And there's a major power vacuum in NXT in the top of the women's division right now because Roxanne Perez is just kind of. It feels like she's going through the motions as she waits, either from somebody from the mid card to step up or for Julia to come back from injury. We can skip all of the mid card stuff for Stephanie Vaquer and just go straight to the mid card. Dude, I want her as NXT Women's Champion like that instantly. I'm good to go, dude. This is both the beauty and the downfall of bringing somebody with so much experience. The downfall is that those that know are like, why is she in NXT? She is so ready for the main roster. But then the beauty is that then all of a sudden you've got this super seasoned talent that could help make somebody like a Roxanne Perez into a much better version of herself. Give Roxanne Perez the best wrestling match that she's ever had with the most competent wrestler that she's ever had. That's the beauty of bringing in people like the Ethan Pages of the
Jordan
world.
Grace?
No. I think Jordan Grace is absolutely in that camp. Absolutely in that camp. I think she fits in the same mold as like a Stephanie Vaquer. Absolutely. I definitely didn't mean to disparage if that's what it sounded like, Jordan Grace. But we're seeing it a bit more with NXT. They were a little bit scared to bring in these
Ethan Page.
These high profile names. They were for a while really stubborn, like in we just want the college athletes. We just want our performance center graduates, and that's it. And it seems like with Triple H and HBK, we're finding the happy medium. And Ethan Page, and I know we're bouncing through topics. Welcome to Wrestling School, folks. Ethan Page is the perfect guy to help elevate Trick Williams, one of the WWE guys through and through. That's why you want to bring these people in. And I feel like that's where Stephanie Vaquer, she can have a less than a year run in NXT and then main roster.
Isn't it wild? And this is not going to be an AEW versus WWE conversation. If you draw that conclusion, that's on you. You jump to that conclusion. But the asset of getting Stephanie Vaquer for cheap compared to getting Okada and all these other big names, and how I feel like they're going to get more juice out of Stephanie Vaquer over those big signings. Like the same thing with Jacob Fatu, these kind of low level signings are going to have more run, so to speak, more value in what they were going to bring back. And to add to that, it's wild to see that Stephanie, I got introduced to her because of her match with Mercedes Moné. Like that's when I discovered her. I was like, oh, who is her? Who is she? And then to hear that she's going to be a free agent, and then instead of signing with AEW, which gave her the biggest platform she's ever had in her life, to go to WWE is wild to me. I mean, that conversation had to happen a long time before her match with the AEW. And she knew she was going to WWE. Granted, there may be some other outside forces and things like that to make her choose WWE versus AEW. But optics side, that's a wrestler who just wrestled on the biggest pay-per-view, Forbidden Door, signing with your competition.
Sancho, you know what happened? Let me explain to you what happened in non-wrestling terms. This is what happened in this situation. AEW was going garage sale hunting, and they're going through the boxes, and they're like, what's this? Stephanie Vaquer? This is pretty good. Do you mind if I try it real quick? I just want to make sure that it works before I buy it. Oh, yeah, pairs really well with my already existing asset in Mercedes Moné. I think I am going to purchase this Stephanie Vaquer. Give me a second. My wallet's in the car. Will you hold this? All right, I'll be right back. Goes to the car. Another shopper comes in. It's Triple H. They now see this Stephanie Vaquer that's now been taken out of the box by the AEW buyer and put on the table. I'm like, I'd like to buy that Stephanie Vaquer. Oh, it already has a buyer. But they're not here. They're getting their wallet from the car. And they're like, well, just buy her right now. We'll take it off your hands right now. No questions asked. WWE garage sale sniped Stephanie Vaquer from AEW because they found it. That's the beauty of garage sales, is finding the hidden gem. And AEW found it, and for some reason they went to the car to go grab the wallet instead of buying it now. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that AEW knew that her contract was going to be up, gave her this giant platform for the entire world to fall in love with Stephanie Vaquer, where everybody was now rooting for her over Mercedes Moné in that match, and didn't pull the trigger on purchasing her before showcasing her. They should have had a handshake agreement beforehand. All they did was shine a spotlight for her for WWE to see her.
You think that's when they signed her? You don't think it was before that match?
No way. I don't think so.
No way. You don't think that they had no way.
No way, man. The stuff that I heard about CMLL, how upset they were about, the few remaining dates that she had all of a sudden disappearing because WWE came in. Dude, it felt like it was a coup. Like WWE just swooped in, gave her enough money for her to be able to say, screw your extra dates, CMLL. I'm jumping ship right here, right now, burning bridges with New Japan, burning bridges with CMLL. You don't do that unless it's borderline hijacking. To me, this felt like guerrilla warfare, what WWE did with Stephanie Vaquer. To me, it felt like a raid in the middle of the night.
It was so wild is that I've never seen the WWE announce that they signed someone. Shawn Michaels retweeted it. And then she appears in Mexico. I know that's the perfect place for her to be because of her background, but she appears in Mexico and they're showcasing that she's there in Mexico. Like as if she's like the biggest free agent signing that I didn't hear until AEW.
And it's because AEW gave her the spotlight. I think that this is a massive mistake from AEW to not have some sort of handshake agreement for more dates, at least with Stephanie Vaquer, more dates. Because if she had more dates agreed upon with AEW, I don't think that WWE does what they did. I don't think so. I don't think that they would want to hijack from somebody like a Tony Khan who could easily bring litigation in a United States court. But to do that to CMLL, I felt like WWE felt like they were in a strong enough position to do that to them.
I'm impressed. I mean, it's going to be one of those signings. Look at their roster, dude. We were worried about the women's roster, but Stephanie Vaquer and Julia.
And both of them are instantly way more seasoned and better than every other woman on NXT right now. Every single one of them. And that's great for them as well, because now they're going to have such a great pair of dancing partners, but clock is ticking on using Stephanie Vaquer and Julia in NXT because you can't keep them down there for that long. They're too damn good. They're too good.
We should watch one of their matches on Match Club. I know they have a match.
Ooh. Wrestling is cool.
See, that's
Match Club.
That's
Patreon.com/Santi's app.
That's what I like about it, dude. We get to figure them out, see how they're doing. But not only that, I want to quickly bring this up. Did you watch Toni Storm and Mariah May?
I saw yes, dude. This is like one of my favorite things going on in wrestling right now. It's so good.
It is wild to me that was shown on television. Like, it was so brutal and it felt so right. Because the build up to this, it felt earned. And I feel like this is one of the storylines that AEW has done correctly. This Toni Storm and Mariah May relationship. And sometimes it floats into like weird, high, like very surface level stuff, like the Liv Morgan type stuff. But then it took a nosedive. If you haven't seen this, it's very gruesome and very violent. But it's so interesting to me when it was shown on the camera, it looked very violent. But then I saw it on alternate angle. I was like, oh, they look very safe and how they did it. But man, when Mariah May just nailed her with the heel of that shoe and it made that thud sound, I'm like, oh my God, that was intense. And it is, for those of you who don't know, Toni Storm has been building up this protege, Mariah May. And finally, Mariah May, this has been teased since the very beginning, by the way, when Mariah May got introduced, that we all kind of had this idea that she was going to turn on Toni Storm. And when it happened. And she literally beat Toni Storm down with the heel of her shoe, and in a very, very graphic and violent way. And Toni Storm is bleeding all over the place. And wow, what if I wasn't gonna buy for that pay-per-view, I would buy it for Toni Storm versus Mariah May instantly.
Yeah. Have you seen the upcoming AEW Dynamite graphic for it? Where it's like
No.
Mariah May addresses what she did, and it's the picture of Toni Storm bleeding with Mariah May standing over her. But AEW is so brilliant with it because they made just Toni Storm black and white and the blood red. It's such a visceral look. It's a great graphic. See, sometimes we prop up AEW here, dude. Yeah. This is one of the best things going on in wrestling. I love This is where I think Forbidden Door was used really, really well. One of my problems with Forbidden Door is that sometimes it feels like a glorified exhibition. It's great. It's amazing wrestling, but it's never followed up. It usually isn't because it's CMLL, New Japan, and they go their separate ways after that night. And hey, it was a great show, but it was a glorified exhibition. That was my previous problems with old Survivor Series as well.
Like X-Men versus Street Fighter.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
You're not going to get the X-Men versus Street Fighter up and coming movie or anime, right? You just get the one-off experience with it. This is where they did it right, where they did Mina Shirakawa from Stardom versus Toni Storm with Mariah May in the middle, because they basically had this like threesome in terms of it is the right word. It's clearly what they were going for.
Implying, right?
It's definitely what they were implying. This triangle of love of who was going to win over Mariah May. And I'm so happy that they were able to use Forbidden Door to elevate an existing AEW storyline in Mariah May and Toni Storm. And now Mina Shirakawa gets to go her own separate way. Maybe Mina Shirakawa comes in and helps Mariah May in some way, shape, or form. But that's where they handled it perfectly, because once Forbidden Door ended, the existing storyline of Toni Storm and Mariah May was elevated. And they did it well. They did it very, very well. And now they hit the climax of the story. Man, threesome climax. I'm using all the wrong words here.
What's interesting to look at the other side of the pond is the WWE with Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. It's a different kind of storytelling. I don't think it will ever get to that brutality, no pun intended, with Rhea Ripley. I mean, obviously, it would be justified for Rhea Ripley to destroy Liv Morgan in that way, but I don't think the WWE is willing to do that. That's what makes AEW a valuable promotion, because it's willing to go that far. But what AEW needs to learn is when it's justified, then it's memorable.
Yes.
To go that far, just to go that far, it's very Necro the Butcher-like, at that point. And we're just like, I guess.
Yeah.
But when you do things like Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes, and they end up with blood in that way, or they end up in that violent way, it's justified because it's brother versus brother. In the dog collar match that a lot of people in the Wrestling Cool Match Club wants us to watch with CM Punk and MJF, if the story gets to that point and it's justified, that's when it's great. And that's the same thing I feel like WWE does wrong as well, is they sometimes would use like a random cage match, or they'll use some random gimmick match that really didn't build up to that point. Like, why have a last man standing or an I Quit match between AJ and Cody Rhodes when they really didn't build up to that point? Does that make sense?
It 100%. Yes, I totally get it. I think the best way to put it, right, is if this had happened in a Jon Moxley feud, you and I would have been like, okay, I see Jon Moxley bleed like this every other day, it seems.
Right.
But when it hits the way that it did, if you hold off on the blood, on the brutality, and save it for the right moment, as opposed to give it to us every single week, then you get the water cooler conversations. Then you get people wanting to talk about what just happened on TV, because it doesn't feel like a replay. It doesn't feel like, I've seen this before. I don't think, like you said, I don't think WWE is willing to step into those waters, but I'm glad that there is an alternate product out there that is willing to dive into those waters for us.
And I got to put it on another thing real quick to flip it. The sexuality of Liv Morgan and Dom, I felt, is starting to get overused. Just a hair. I thought it was over when Rhea Ripley came back, but then they did it again. I'm like, no, why are we continuing to dip our toe in this unnecessary water because we know that it's a PG product. We know it's not going to get any further, but it is still very secondhand embarrassment to be sitting there to see Liv Morgan gyrating on Dominic. You're just like, come on. It's like, we didn't, it doesn't need to be taken this far.
You didn't like her calling herself a screamer?
No, see, that's different. That's like more like, if you know, you know.
Sure.
That's like watching a cartoon and there's an adult joke in it, and you're like, if you know, you know. But to physically see Liv and Dom literally doing Edge and Lita type stuff, you're just like, all right, man.
Were you clutching your pearls? Think of the children.
But I'm just saying, it's in that same kind of vein of brutality, sexuality, all that kind of stuff should be used sparingly. You ever try to drink like a flower scented liqueur, like a rose petal, whatever?
Sure, lavender.
Yeah, I hate it.
I hate it too, bro. You're trying too hard. You're trying too hard. Why are you putting this fancy stuff on my pizza too? Stop it.
Exactly. It's like in the Great British Bake Off. Every time someone uses rose, and they always overdo it.
Every time. You gotta be subtle with the truffles.
Gotta be subtle with that truffle, brother. But that's what I've been enjoying so far on that's non-WWE is that AEW that every once in a while Tony Storm just nails it and hits a home run, and Mariah May is a part of that now.
You know, we're talking about pushing the boundaries, and I want to talk about WWE pushing the boundaries with Damian Priest and Gunther. A boundary that I don't actually think that they pushed, a boundary that some people think that they pressed on that I think is incorrect. So I'm talking about what I thought was a fantastic promo battle between Damian Priest and Gunther.
Yes.
This went from a feud I was just kind of concerned about, like, I don't think I can get excited over this, to, you son of a bitch, I'm in. Because I felt like they went with the right route. You know what I didn't want them to go with? I didn't want them to go with Damian being like, hey, Wepa, Gunther, you're pretty good. You're one of the best out there. And I want to test myself against the best out there. I want to show the world that I'm not this paper champion. That's what we've been getting with Damian Priest, right? This like, I'm trying to prove it to the people that I'm worthy of being here. Get that out of here. Give me something new. Give me something different. And they gave it to us. They gave us class warfare between Gunther and Damian Priest. The reason why this is a sensitive topic is because I'm seeing a lot of people online saying that this was a racist storyline, that they are knocking on the door of the actually racist Triple H versus Booker T storyline heading into WrestleMania 19. And really what people are hanging on to, Sancho, is the fact that Gunther said, you people. And that is a powerful sentence, absolutely. But I don't think that this touched the concept of race warfare in any capacity. As a Latino seeing Damian Priest out there, I wasn't seeing a guy that was trying to justify himself being in the position that he's in because he's Latino. I saw the guy trying to justify himself because he had to earn his way up there. I didn't see this as a white versus Latino storyline. I saw this as a privileged versus the non-privileged, the have versus have not. Gunther being the Terminator, literally raised from birth to be a success in this business of professional wrestling, versus the guy that had to earn his success, the guy that had to fight on the streets to be in the position that he's in, a guy that under almost every circumstance would be a failure because he wasn't afforded the privileges in life that Gunther was given. Folks, this is not a race thing. This is the 1988 classic, The Karate Kid. Johnny Lawrence is Gunther. Johnny Lawrence was the rich guy with the great car, with the girlfriend, that was the popular jock in high school, that was afforded all of the privileges in life, taking on Daniel LaRusso, the guy from Jersey, the guy that was fish out of water, the guy that had to, work odd jobs, the guy that lived in the crappy house, that had to bike to school, trying to prove that he can fight on the same level as the guy that was prototypically built to kick ass in Johnny Lawrence. I know that How I Met Your Mother has changed the narrative and Johnny Lawrence being the good guy, and now Cobra Kai has also changed that narrative, but not back in the 80s. This is class warfare. This is the guy that deserves it versus the guy that was built to have it. And I think what people are hanging on to, like I said, is the you people line from Gunther. And my interpretation of the you people, and he said it in the promo, which is why I don't really get why people are hanging on to the concern about race, is that he said that the WWE brought me in to make sure that you, people like you, aren't champion. And that's where people are like, oh, race, like anti-Latino or whatever. But it's the what's the work I'm looking for? The it's you again. It's the guy from the streets. It's the what's not supposed to be this marketable image.
I mean, Rocky versus Drago comes
That's
to mind.
That's a great one. That's a great one as well.
Team Iceland versus the Mighty Ducks comes to mind.
Another great one.
Yeah,
see, like,
know what I mean?
That's what we need to be jumping onto, not Booker T. Booker T versus Triple H was actually racist, bro. Don't compare this to that.
JBL versus Ray,
going to the Mexican border and stopping migrants from crossing. That was racist. Don't jump to that.
It's a dark times in the WWE. But I do definitely agree with you. I feel that was Damien's best work he's ever done on the main roster. I wanted him to call him a street rat because I've been watching Aladdin a lot, and I thought he was going to say street rat, but he said street trash, and I was kind of bummed out by that. I feel that Damien, throughout the entire night, had this light airiness to him. He felt like he was a face now. Like someone told him, hey, bro, no longer you're brooding, no longer you're grumpy, you're no longer this wet blanket, you're now a face. And he was just so jovial throughout the entire Monday Night Raw, messing with Dominic Mysterio, having fun with Judgment Day. He wasn't coming out there saying, why are you playing video games? Go to bed type of vibe. He was just going with the flow throughout the entire night. And he cut that promo like, instead of saying, all rise for El Campeon, he was like, all rise for El Campeon. He was much more jovial about the whole entire thing. So it's very interesting to me that at the end of the day, when we called this out, especially you, wrestling works better when there's a clear face and a clear heel. And that's what they did on Monday night. They had to have a promo where Gunther still was remaining the heel. And if he towed the line on some kind of topics, now you understand you hate Gunther and you want to root for Damien. And all in all, this is all setting up for a devastating turn from Dominic Mysterio.
You think so?
Yes, because they finally made you want Damien to win. That's how they do it. You're like, oh, I really hope Damien retains here. There's a party that wants you to retain. And what are they going to do? Damien feels like he's on cloud nine. They're going to rip the rug underneath from Damien Priest, El Campeon, and have Dominic Mysterio turn on him.
Man, I was thinking Dominic accidentally or on purpose helps Liv Morgan win. That's where I think the Dominic piece comes in. I think that more than anything, I think it would be Finn Balor. Because they've had that thing with, those two have been kind of jabbing back and forth. They've been kind of accusing each other of things. I could see that more likely than Dominic.
Regardless, it's basically Judgment Day is going to screw over Damien.
But I like the dynamic of Judgment Day having faces and heels in the faction. That's interesting. That is interesting. I don't think that that's been explored enough in professional wrestling in general. I think that in matches, I really do think that it's best to have, like I said, a defined heel and a defined face. Even if it's both heels, but like one is a face because of location or context, right?
Right.
But a faction with faces and heels, just like that's interesting. That's interesting to me.
That was my old Tumblr, faces and heels.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I used to post pictures of faces and pictures of heels.
Like literal faces or in literal heels or wrestling faces and wrestling heels?
What do you think, Santi?
I don't know, bro. I don't know what Sancho was getting up to on Tumblr.
It is Tumblr, right? Fair enough.
Maybe Sancho's got a thing for heels, like the part of the leg.
This is Tony Storm, bam, right in the head. I'm excited. They did a job done, and they sold me on SummerSlam, like you said, that Damien versus Gunther is gonna pop. And I loved that they fed Braun Strowman to Damien to build him up even more.
Oh, I didn't like that.
Why not?
Yeah, okay, no. I think they needed to do it at some point, but the only reason I didn't like it is because I felt like we wasted like 3 months building up Braun Strowman versus the Judgment Day. And I never thought that it was going to blow up into something big, but
I see what you're saying.
But I felt like this could have been a world championship match for Damian, and Damian really stamp himself at some point by beating Braun Strowman, because he kept saying, deal with the Braun Strowman problem, deal with the Braun Strowman problem. And they were building Braun Strowman as this problem, and putting him against Damian in the weeks leading to SummerSlam, you just knew that Braun was going to lose. If this happened, I don't know, sometime well before, leading into Money in the Bank, you could have even done it at Money in the Bank had Seth Rollins not come back. I just felt like they took that storyline of Braun Strowman being this big problem and just kind of said, not anymore. We're done with this.
Because Damian's a face now.
I get it.
They had to erase it. Like, yeah, all right, we're done.
They had to erase it. You're right, because Braun Strowman was this other babyface. I just felt like it was wasted plot thread for a really long time. That's how I feel.
You went down the journey. It's kind of reminds me. I bought this book for my son at a half price bookstore, which sells used books essentially. And I was like, oh, this book's $1, and it's Tailspin, an old '90s cartoon with Baloo the bear. And I'm reading it. I'm like, why is this book so cheap? The ending, the last page is ripped out of it.
There you go.
So I don't know how it is.
Yeah, like it wasn't the story I was necessarily like uber invested in.
Exactly. But you were just like, oh.
I still read it. I was still, I went through the beginning to end, and I just sort of felt like we got to the end and we're like, we actually can't really develop this any further. We just need to do away with it. Didn't you feel like, don't you feel that way?
Ejecto, cuz. Exactly. They got right out of there, man. So yeah, I had no idea how that book ends, and we will never know how it. Well, we do know how. Damien just goes. Psh.
That's literally what it was. I just felt like deal with the Braun Strowman problem was going to be bigger.
You know what we do know? LA Knight has a match at SummerSlam against Logan Paul. Baby, it is finally here. Rejoice. We are about to get a brand new shine on the Hall of Glaze, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Renovations is over. We're open. It's a grand reopening, folks. LA Knight Glaze is here. The Hall of Glaze is about to be open for business. Step right up, line up, ladies and gentlemen, boys. It's going to be a great time. Santi. You know what's interesting about that whole entire thing, though, a segment? I think LA Knight lied. That is not a real contract.
Oh.
Remember that? It's a small detail. Yeah, if you watch the SmackDown review that I do on Patreon, it's a small detail. But Byron Saxton was interviewing Chelsea Green and Piper Niven that were waiting outside Nick Aldis' office. Byron's about to say Nick Aldis is. Chelsea cuts him off. It was known throughout the whole time Nick Aldis was not there. Who walks out of the office? LA Knight with a binder in hand and a contract. He walks out, and then no one leaves that door because Chelsea Green and the Pretty Deadly, who wants their own musical,
which is hilarious.
Which is hilarious. So they're waiting outside the door the whole time. Jade Cargill, Naomi, Bianca Belair, they tell Chelsea he's not even here. Nick Aldis is not here. So remember before that, LA Knight had a contract. He walked out, had signed, and then he had signed again when he signed it right there. I don't think it's a real contract. I think LA Knight, who said at the Money in the Bank promo after at SmackDown, he said he lost. He wasn't going to do complaining, but instead he found a different way to get himself a match. And that is how he's going to do it.
Tomfoolery? You think he's going to hit him with a razzle dazzle?
The best part about a face like LA Knight is that he could cheat his way into a match. And I think Logan's so busy with all his other stuff, with appearing in Mr. Beast videos, that he's just going to sign it without even knowing that it's real or not.
Dude,
and then Nick is going to go, oh,
I want the lawyer to be involved in this. Once Logan signs it, that lawyer that he brought in for the Cody Rhodes, trying to annul the agreement, trying to stop it, but it's already been signed. I want that to happen. I think that's quite the keen eye. I did not interpret it as such, but now that I think about it, it was such a prominent plot thread of Nick Aldis not being there. So yeah, if he wasn't there, who the heck was LA Knight talking to? Presumably no one. Maybe just broke into his office to grab a boilerplate contract and forge signatures. That's kind of neat. That is kind of neat because either I'm so dense because I came out of that being like, man, I hope Pretty Deadly get their musical. And you really you actually found the thing that was important in that. I want the Pretty Deadly musical.
You wanted a whole vignette, right?
I wanted to be uncomfortably long. I want it to be like 15 minutes. And even if they just put like the first like 2 minutes on TV, I want all 15 minutes uncut on YouTube. I want it all. I like hokey stuff like that though, me personally. But anyways, I'm dumb. I was like,
You're
man,
not
that
dumb.
was the first thing I wanted. I came out with that.
You predicted LA Knight and Logan Paul.
Yeah, but like, who didn't? Like, that match just makes so much
I didn't.
sense. Yeah, that's because you had dumb grandeurs of him winning the world championship. You were a buffoon, an absolute buffoon. Google SummerSlam 92. All right? That's what you need to do before trying to say, oh, LA Knight is going to dethrone the tribal chief. LA Knight, he should be the one going to WrestleMania. Him versus AJ Styles, that's not good enough for LA Knight. You're over here trying to give this man the world, and I was being realistic about what we needed to do with LA Knight, and the U.S. title was perfectly realistic for him.
Imagine if I told that guy, LA Knight's my favorite wrestler. Oh, that would have gone. Yeah, but yay. All right. LA Knight. One win for LA Knight. No wins for Jey Uso.
That's huge. And I do think that that's going to be a incredibly entertaining SummerSlam build up and feud. I want hijinks outside of the traditional wrestling ecosystem. I want LA Knight to storm an Impulsive podcast, not a guest. I want him to storm a podcast and take over, push over the guest, take over Mike's spot, and just let me talk to you. We get an impromptu Impulsive promo between LA Knight and Logan Paul. That would be fire. I would love Logan Paul to crash a filming of a Slim Jim commercial and try and take over that from LA Knight. I just want to see more outside of the confines of just the traditional wrestling circle, because that's what Logan Paul gives us. Logan Paul gives us the logical narrative tool to go anywhere in the world to build this plot.
I thought he was going to appear in the Mr. Beast video, LA Knight.
Dude,
because for those, they put Logan Paul in this class case, and if you left the red line, you're eliminated. And Logan Paul eliminated himself by throwing a plate down. Anyway, the point is, I thought LA Knight would have been the reason why he got eliminated.
God, that would just beat him up and take him out of it. That would have been so good. That would have been crazy.
That would have been crazy. The eyes they would have had on that, because that's one of the biggest YouTube videos of all time within 24 hours at 77 million views. But imagine that scenario of Logan Paul getting eliminated from a Mr. Beast video by LA Knight.
I mean, that would have been, dude, that would have been such a cool partnership, because Prime clearly paid some money to be in that video, right?
Yep.
Mr.
Beast, right?
Mr. Beast allowed, yes, when I say that, Prime, Logan Paul, and KSI were both in that video, and at points they both talked about Prime in the video. The Mr. Beast team could have easily cut that out. And when Logan Paul was eliminated, Mr. Beast basically let Logan Paul do a quick ad read about Prime. So clearly there was a partnership there between those two. And obviously we have the partnership between Prime and the WWE that already exists. I felt like the door was open for that possibility.
The forbidden door.
The forbidden door. And there were so many personalities there that have already had experiences with the WWE, right? We had KSI, Logan Paul, iShow Speed was in that video as well. I'm sure at some point or another, we're going to see Kai Cenat getting involved with the WWE or bringing WWE people onto his live stream. Now that it didn't happen, I'm mad. That it didn't happen, I'm mad. That's a great idea.
I'm full of great ideas, Santi. What can I say? That's what I do best. I throw out random ideas. You never know what you're going to get, though. Sometimes you get great ideas, and sometimes
you get Drew McIntyre still a babyface, damn it.
Oh, come on, dude. Drew is my MVP of the year so far.
Okay.
100%.
Okay, I feel like that's an interesting topic. We didn't even have that down here as a conversation piece.
Sure.
Your MVP of the year. We're halfway through the year, and I feel like we can extrapolate a little conversation of who your MVP of the year is. I feel like Drew McIntyre has to be a front runner. Absolutely.
Yes. I can't think of anyone else.
Let me throw some names out there, and you tell me if we can consider them MVPs. Is the final boss Rock on the ballot for the first half of the year? I feel like you have to have him. I know it's short lived, but it was the 4 most entertaining months that WWE has had in 20 years.
I feel the final boss, the reason why he would be on the short list of the MVP is that he took whatever they were doing and pushed them into a whole other stratosphere.
And he was there like every week, bro.
Exactly. And he caused a kind of like a butterfly effect for that you cannot miss out on live SmackDowns or Monday Night Raws.
Mm-hmm.
And his appearances led to sold out shows and restored gates throughout the entire year. So yes.
Okay. Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman carried the Bloodline 2.0. He reminds me of an MVP on a crappy team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear you. Yes,
right,
yes.
right. He had to carry that, and he did a great job. And I think we're not going to see the results of that MVP until when The Rock comes back. So he gets a nod, but I don't think he's on the list.
Okay. What about a Bayley?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. I mean, I wish Bayley did what she did in Mexico, where she came out as a luchador. I think you want to add a little bit of spice to her, because I just feel that Bayley is stuck in this babyface mode, like you talked about with Damian Priest, where you're like, I'm not a paper champion. I feel like Bayley's like, I am a great champion. And I think Sami Zayn is now teetering in that line where I'm like, Sami, get off your high horse, dude. Like every time Sami talks, I'm like, come on, bro. Yeah, I mean, I don't care.
It's.
You know
I want to give
mean?
you. I want to give you a championship opportunity, because when you wrestle, it's ugly. Like that's literally, that was the impetus of Ilya versus Sami.
I'm like, get off your high horse, Sami, dude.
Yeah, dude, you're right. He is on a really tall horse at the moment.
It's like the dude that all of a sudden started figuring out life, started to work out. Now he's telling you how to work out, do workout tips. Like, all right, dude. Come on, dude. Get it.
He made a couple dollars on the GameStop boom or on crypto, and now he's like, man, join my course on Discord.
Yeah, you're like, he's like, he's like someone. He's just like, all right, man, we get it, dude. God bless you. We're happy for you. Come
on. What about a Bianca Belair? Helping elevate the tag team division and helping carry. And I really think she carries Jade Cargill into more prominence and importance, and helps her look really good on TV. For that reason, I feel like it's worth throwing her name out there as what an MVP is. You know, if we're using the traditional definition of it, the most valuable player on your team in that division, I feel like Bianca carried.
It's the same thing with Paul Heyman. You know, we're not going to know until we see where Jade Cargill's career goes. But I think the biggest misstep in Jade and Bianca is, why take the belt off of them so soon when they're not going to go separate ways? Yeah,
those belts are going back to them. I'm already calling it now. Those belts are going right back to them.
I don't know, man. Isla Dawn and Ivy Fire, man. Ivy Fire, they've been
great. Okay, Seth Rollins fighting through injury at the beginning of the year. 2 matches at WrestleMania, both with injury. Comes back way earlier than we expected.
He's the Jimmy Butler of the NBA. He's the MVP, workhorse, but is his performance all elite like Jimmy? Not necessarily.
Okay. Cody Rhodes finished his
story.
How
I said Jimmy Butler. You're like, yeah, you totally get what I'm going to say.
Totally, yes. For our European listeners, think of I'm trying to think of a Harry Kane. You know,
okay, there you go.
He'll never be, a Messi or a Ronaldo, but you got to have him in the conversation as one of the top footballers in the planet. I got you, my Europeans.
There you go.
I went to Copa America. I was in the midst of the danger.
So worried for you, dude.
Dude, people were allegedly sneaking in through the vents.
The vents?
Yes, there's videos.
Yeah,
dude,
I know.
There was, I don't know how true it is because there's no footage of it. There were rumors that people were sneaking in through the sewer system of the stadium. That's horrifying. I didn't know who I was sitting around. Scary, man. Scary times. Great times, though. Great time.
How did you get in? Did you just happen to be in early?
I got in early. That's it. I was like, I think it's going to be crazy. There are so many fans flying from all over South America that I know don't have tickets that are going to try and park themselves outside to watch the game on big screens or whatever. I just wasn't anticipating them to rush the stadium the way that they did. But I was already in there. I was maybe one of the first 10,000. And when the game started, that was it. There was only about 10,000 people. It was scary, bro. And then all of a sudden, within 5 minutes, I think they gave up. They just let everyone in.
Don't leave your house next time, dude.
Yeah, man.
Just don't do it.
I just never. This is why I don't touch grass, people. This is why I don't touch grass.
And did you get recognized out there?
Yeah. It happened a couple times, and it was so bizarre because I was wearing my ridiculous, coffee farmer hat that's like a symbol of Colombian heritage, and sunglasses, and somebody, like a couple people recognized me, like, bro, how are you recognizing me in this? It's cool. It was cool. A couple times in the airport too.
What were you gonna say though?
More MVPs. Anything else? Anybody like CM Punk?
I see. He hasn't been around.
He's
the Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good way to put it. I think he has been kind of Kawhi Leonarding this, but I do feel like
load management.
Yeah. Maybe even like Scottie Pippen here, just because he's really been assisting the Drew McIntyre rise, even if it's not from the being on the court, making the no.
It's been Drew all along.
Okay, all right.
Drew's the MVP. Drew carries that entire thing by himself without CM Punk for those stretches of time. He comes out and he cuts a promo. We don't know who he's out there for, but he cuts a great promo. Come on, dude.
No, you're right.
Is Drew McIntyre the MVP?
I think the answer is Drew McIntyre. Let's quickly. I'm digging this conversation. Match of the year so far. I'll throw a couple out there. All right, as opposed to just like making you answer on the spot. I'll throw a couple out there, and you tell me if it's worth talking about. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles Backlash.
And that is by far my favorite match of the year. Okay, not gonna lie. There was something about that scratches the itch of Hogan Rock at the Toronto. You asked me if Cody Rhodes is MVP. I think he definitely is of MVP. He kind of reminds me, if I had to put it in the NBA sense, he is like the poster boy of the NBA, of the WWE. So who would be the poster boy of the NBA? He's the Steph Curry right now, right? So he's just a guy that everyone adores and respects. And I still think AJ versus Cody is probably the best professional match of the WWE throughout the year. And it's one of my favorites. It's one of the ones that I'd be willing to show people, be like, hey, check this out. This is Cody Rhodes versus AJ. The France crowd's insane. AJ's the heel, but he gets this. Hey, dude,
that match is so good. I actually put it in my phone because I have a little list of matches that I want to show like non-wrestling fans, or I make a little list of like, hey, future kid, future Santi Jr. This is your homework. You're going to be watching Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles Backlash in France. Let me throw a different flavor out there. All right. Women's Royal Rumble.
Your kid's going to like LA Knight.
No, he's not.
I'm like the Sleeping Beauty. I am Maleficent, and I'm going to put a curse right now. Your son will like LA Knight.
The firstborn males of your family line will all be LA Knight Glazers.
The Women's Royal Rumble of...
Let me remind you. The person that everybody wanted to win won in Bayley. I know that people are getting tired of her, but people wanted her to win. We had actual shocks in terms of debuts and returns. Jordan Grace, Trinity Fatu from TNA, now of course Naomi. We had the debut of Jade Cargill, the return of Liv Morgan as well.
Oh God!
So I have that Rumble as like top tier.
I can't disagree. Okay, I mean Jade Cargill throwing out Nia Jax like nothing.
Yeah, man. I think that Women's Royal Rumble match is a top 5 Rumble match, period.
Did you mention Liv Morgan returning to it?
Yeah. What about sticking with the women, Bayley versus Io, WrestleMania 40? No? Okay.
Underrated.
No. Okay.
But I think the fallout of it hasn't...
That's fair. There was none. There was none.
Exactly. And it's like Damage Control has been floundering ever since. I think the biggest... There's 2 missteps this year If we were giving awards, the biggest blunder, as they say in chess, miscues from Triple H. Money in the Bank, the men's title, the men's case. And second, the WWE draft.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you.
Been bad.
It has been bad. I guess I'll put them both in one, both main events of WrestleMania 40.
See, that's unfair, though. I feel that's totally unfair to put that match because that's like, what, 6 years in the making, feels like?
So the answer is duh.
Yeah, I know.
It is duh. Yeah.
But it's so much of a easy answer that it's kind of unfair to everything else. That means you're telling me that nothing else will top WrestleMania 40 this year, which we could be wrong. There could be something out of nowhere that could top it. I feel that there were a lot of missteps in the build to WrestleMania 40 because they were scrambling to figure out what they were doing. I think they were living day by day on that entire feud. And I feel that there were some things, remember, what was it? Diarrhea Dwayne? There were some
There were some miscues. There were some miscues.
And then, of course, like the pivot from Roman to Solo Sikoa is something to be a case study to look at during WrestleMania 40. And The Rock basically saying, hey, Cody, you could have all your fun and games, but nothing matters until you and I go toe-to-toe at the end, and he goes away for a while. I don't know, man. I feel like you cannot compare that. It's like saying compare all the Avenger movies, and then Avengers Endgame and Infinity War are going to be 1 and 2, right? No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. You're hitting it on the head there. The answer is duh. Let me give you a bit more of a thinker. Randy Orton versus Gunther, the King of the Ring final.
It's the finish, man. Bad taste in your mouth.
It's still bad taste in your mouth. Okay.
Bad taste. It was a clean finish, but over Gunther, but you got to get it right, man. It's the same thing with the Money in the Bank. I mean, I'm surprised. It tells me that whatever they had planned for Damian and the Judgment Day and Liv and Rhea is so much bigger than to quote unquote punish Damian Priest. Because that's a big miscue on somebody. And for Damian not to get any of that blame and for him to continue on, being put up, I know we're past those years in wrestling or wrestler's court and pettiness, but that was a big mama.
I mentioned pretty much all PLE matches, but what about Ilya versus Ricochet, round 1 of King of the Ring?
I love that it was for free, man.
It was so really good. So good. I think the fact that it's for free will always give it an extra edge for me. Like I'll always be like,
it's glorious.
That's nice.
You've been asking me a lot of questions. I ask you.
Okay.
Best debut. Wyatt.
I think
Fatu, Jade Cargill.
Oh man, there's actually been more than I thought. Because we can go down to NXT. We can say Ethan Page if you wanted.
Joe Hendry,
Jordan Grace. I am gonna go with the Wyatt 6. I feel like that's the most impactful one so far this year. If I want to be more, look, if it wasn't for the Wyatt 6 existing, it's obviously Jacob Fatu. Like the way he just exploded into the scene was absolutely insane. And we got them in the same week, bro. In the same week. They couldn't even stretch it out. They're just like, back to back. Here you go. That's crazy.
Well, the thing about Jacob Fatu is we didn't even talk about it much. His SmackDown just destroying the tag team division. And it's been done before. We've seen Braun Strowman destroy tag team division. We've seen Brock Lesnar destroy tag team division single-handedly. There's something different about Jacob Fatu destroying that tag team division. It just felt like it was the perfect thing to do for Jacob Fatu. And for him to do it just because to clear the ring for Solo Sikoa is the wildest way to get rid of the tag team division. And it felt like a shot of adrenaline for me, where Jacob Fatu, I wanted to run through a wall after seeing him just do every single thing in his bag effortlessly. And someone wrote in one of my comments, the guy's floaty. The dude is floaty.
It's Umaga and Jeff Hardy. I've said this before. It is a combination of those two. I don't know how he's able to do the things that he does. It's actually insane. Now, when we have that good of a talent, obviously people are screaming, put some gold on him. Right. We have this Bloodline 2.0 that I think could definitely benefit from gold. I think Jacob Fatu, looking at a singles title, U.S. championship. I just don't know how we get there right now. But I think that there's a more clear path for the Tongas to go after tag team gold, considering they just took out former tag team champions in A-Town Down Under, as well as, of course, the actual champions in DIY. I think as we head into something like I'm still calling it Bloodline Civil War games, as we head into something like that, I feel like especially Tongaloa would benefit from the justification of gold. Because right now he is looked upon as like the dog. What are you doing there? And Jacob Fatu, obviously, like if you want the best quality tag team, it's Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu. But I think Jacob Fatu, just keep him out of the tag team division. Let him go do some crazy stuff in the singles division. Have him bring singles gold. If LA Knight wins it, I'm sorry, but like a perfect person for him to drop it to is Jacob Fatu, considering LA Knight still has all the beef with the Bloodline. Yeah, he's gone. See you later. You absolute bum of a glazer. But I feel like you got to drape the Bloodline in gold sooner rather than later.
Guys. All the way I'm coming back. You apologize.
All right, Sancho, I'm sorry. You can come back.
Because you know what I was going to say?
What?
I see gold. Oh, man.
Wait,
I think
Intercontinental IC or IC like your eyeball see?
Intercontinental.
Okay.
Give Jacob Fatu that. Because what is missing from Bloodline 2.0 is gold. Why should we care that they're this dominant force? Now, you could argue that they don't care about gold and they're reckless and they just want to be acknowledged.
But they do.
Well, I know, but how can you be acknowledged in the WWE? Gold.
It's true. It's absolutely true. I'm with you. I think they need gold.
I think Kevin Nash said it best. It's like, in order to make a heel instantly heelish, you just drape them in gold. So we're talking about the tag team, getting the gold. United States, sure, you could argue that it has to be that because they're on SmackDown. But I think Jacob Fatu should be a character that has no limits. No brand, division, nothing. He should appear on Raw. It would be crazy to appear on Raw. And I feel bad for Tongaloa because he is the odd man out, like you said.
He absolutely
the odd man out.
He is.
He's the odd man out, and it's not his fault. I mean, it kind of reminds you of, he's like a Johnny Manziel, man. You're just like, dude, if you just did not have bad luck on your side when your biggest games, you would be in the league still almost.
Oh yeah,
kind of
totally.
Type
Yeah. Johnny Manziel. Yeah, great example.
Bro, I wanted Johnny Manziel to be a Cowboy so bad.
Dude, you guys dodged such a bullet.
He was the 16th pick that we had in that year. I was like, Johnny Manziel. And what's crazy, I feel bad for Johnny Manziel though, dude. He knew he threw away his lottery ticket. He said so himself.
Yeah, but he clearly wasn't good enough. He went to the CFL and still couldn't cut it there. Like,
dude, he was in the fan control league. Remember that? Remember the fans could pick plays? You ever seen that?
Yeah, I have seen that. It was cool. Didn't Kind of Funny have a team?
Yeah, Kind of Funny had a team.
Yeah, that's cool.
The Wild Aces. One thing I want to put a pin in this topic. I do think Jacob Fatu is going to get singles gold soon. Where, I don't know. Put the dude in the speed champion. I don't care. You know,
dude, he good. He's actually a good fit for that.
Right. I want to see more of him, and I think you're sadly so he cannot be regulated to tag team wrestling. He destroyed all the faces. How many times? Countless times. But I think, what's a better match? Roman or Solo, or Roman versus Jacob Fatu?
Oh, Roman versus Jacob Fatu. Like equality, it absolutely is. And you mentioned the IC title, Sami Zayn, honorary Uce. It makes sense. It makes sense, man. If you want to bring back that narrative thread,
living Sammy. Ooh, Jacob, I used to be like you, Jacob. I used to be an Uso, Jacob. You need to not listen to the tribal chief. Ooh.
They're taking advantage of you, Jacob. I know better than anyone, Jacob.
I know better than you. I am not an underdog. You see this? You see this, Jacob? I know you want this, Jacob. But I hold this, and you have to take this from my cold, dead fingers, Jacob Fatu. This is what you want, Jacob? Ooh, I'm a baby face. Ooh.
All right.
Look, I love Sammy, but dog,
it's getting hokey.
You've been on this. You're getting there, my dude.
Yeah.
Hey. And there's people in my chat that love Sami Zayn too. And every time he comes on to you, I'm like, come on, man. if Sammy would just wrestle I think the biggest mistake was they called him an underdog, and
He's not,
that
bro.
we knew he was. That was our boy.
Yeah,
We
that's
knew
our
you
boy.
were.
Yeah. But yeah, when you put a label on it, it's like, well, now you ruined it. Yeah. You stepped in it. You shouldn't have done that.
I know we're getting near the end of the podcast, but it cracks me up to see Pat McAfee do Wyatt Six things on his show.
It's so funny.
Because they were talking about the home run derby.
Yeah.
And I'm like, imagine if you're a non-fan because a tape flashes and says you lied. I'm like, someone's freaking out somewhere.
Bro, somebody's having a problem right now, man. Somebody watching this in a non-wrestling area that does not know or care about wrestling is like, the hell is going on? It's and I love that everyone plays up to it. Everybody's like, oh no, how did this happen? It's great, dude. I love the stuff that's going on the Pat McAfee show.
I'm sure the ESPN's getting a phone call like, something happened to Pat McAfee. You need to get some of the FBI in there, brother, or something, because he has a tape. What's on the tape? And there is no reference that it's like a wrestling thing when they
nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
And I just feel bad for the guys. Like, I just want to know about the home run derby, man, and the All-Star baseball.
All right, Sancho, I gotta wrap it up.
All right. You have time for?
I don't think so. I got a jet. You know what? What we could do is we could do the new Heat order for Patreon this week. Or do you want to? Okay, no, you want to do it. You want to do it. Let's do it.
I want to do it.
Okay, right, let's be. We gotta be quick. We gotta be quick though.
Okay, we gotta be quick. All right. Okay. Number one. Okay, this was the last week. New Heat orders list of the people that got the buzz. Number one was John Cena with the retirement. I'm a baby. I'm a god. Bye. 2, Rhea Ripley. 3, CM Punk. 4, Seth Rollins. 5, Drew Mack. 6, Bloodline. 7, White 6. 8, Liv Morgan. 9, Tiffany Stratton with the Money in the Bank win. And 10, DIY with the Tag Team Championships. By the way, I want to talk about TNA Slammiversary. I'm excited for that. Cannot wait to see that.
This weekend, baby.
Support TNA because TNA is a poppin'. Dude, Speedball Mike Bailey. Oh, he's on my list. I don't care what you say. Speedball is in the TNA list. All right. Number one.
I think it's.
Who's it going to be?
I think it's Rhea.
Is it Rhea?
I
Dude,
think
that
it's
pop
Rhea.
she got when she got out of the elevator was insane.
Yeah, I think it's Rhea.
Rhea Ripley. Number 2, I want to go with Bo Dallas and the White 6.
I'm down with that.
All right.
Number 3, Gable and the Creeds.
Really that high?
I think so. That with how good they beat down Bo Dallas, the fact that it's a lifeline for the Creeds, we got something that we've been clamoring for a while. I think it's for at least week 1. It's high.
All right, Creed Gable. Number 4. I want to put Liv in Judgment Day, and I'm going to
Judgment Day over the Bloodline. You willing to make that call?
Yeah, because Dominic just makes me laugh.
Okay, all right, I'm okay. I think you can interchange them if you wanna die on the hill of Judgment Day. I'll allow it.
Well, because they have the intensity and then they have the fun, and it's just like 80% of Monday Night Raw was Judgment Day business.
Again, because they've got heels and faces in the group, it allows for those fun dynamics while also still being serious and angry and brooding at times.
I want to put the Bloodline here. I have been enjoying the Solo Sikoa, and what's interesting, the Solo Sikoa vignettes give him room to make the people want to listen to him when he's in the ring, which is a great use of that. Number 6, do we put?
I would say LA Knight.
Oh,
I would say LA Knight. Honestly,
yeah,
we're finally getting the thing we wanted. Wow, he was about to say Drew McIntyre, by the way, but the second LA Knight became an option, he didn't even at all try and fight. He's like, "Yep, done. I'll take it."
All right, number 7, I'm going with Drew McIntyre then.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's fair.
He's currently suspended. Do we put CM Punk on the list?
No, not this week. I would say. Honestly, what about Adam Pearce?
No. Michael Scott of the WWE? No. Idiot. Does Tiffany Stratton crack the at 8 for you?
Man,
you don't like the failed cash in, right?
I hated it. I really hated it. This is exactly we talked about it. Out of sight, out of mind, and they're already doing the complete opposite of it.
Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, beat up Damage Control, break the arm of Zelina Vega.
Bro, I was more interested in Zelina Vega with the forehead comment on Sonya
Dude, that was
Deville.
wrong. That was messed up, dude.
She's. I would never want to get into a rap battle with
No.
Zelina Vega because she will point out all of the worst flaws in you.
In your insecurities,
Yes.
all at once. All right, I'll put Zelina at 10.
Okay.
But my question to you is, any love? I'm trying to think for Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn and Ilya.
I'm not feeling that, man.
Okay,
I'm feeling Gunther after that great promo. After that great promo, I'm definitely feeling Gunther.
Can I throw a wrench in this and put Damian at 3?
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
Slide
Just separate him
everybody
away from Judgment Day.
Yes. Okay. And this is going to be I'm putting a lot of money in this graphic here, so bear with me. And all this gets slotted down. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 9 at Gunther. No. Yeah. 4. Hold on.
I think that's the 10.
Yeah, and Gunther. Yeah, Gunther at okay, here we go. Now, this is your thing. I don't care what you say. Graphics are expensive, and I'm doing my best with what we have. But this is your new heat order.
A lot of CGI, folks.
A lot of CGI. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There it is. All right. Look at this. All right.
Beautiful.
Rhea Ripley at 1. Number 2, Wyatt 6. Number 3, Damian Priest. Number 4, Creed Gable. Number 5, Judgment Day. Number 6, Bloodline. Number 7, LA Knight. Number 8, Drew Mack. Number 9, Gunther. And number 10, Zelina Vega for the torching.
AEW Mariah May, I would say.
Oh, yes. AEW Mariah May. And then TNA, Speedball Mike.
Okay, you're gonna fall on the sword. Okay, I'm okay with it. He's great.
Did you see that the triple threat he had with Grisham and who was the other guy? Kushida.
Yeah, so good.
The 450 knee into the back of Grisham.
And NXT Joe Hendry, which is funny to say because he's from TNA. I think it's Joe Hendry.
Oh wow, I love it. I love it, dude. He is so over. But that's our show.
All right, folks, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. I am going to insert the Patreon names in here post, but thank you so much for listening. Take care, everybody. I'm going to go get my back worked on. Cheers, folks. We'll see you next week. Come to the Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZap. Bye.
Back shots. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. An extra special thank you goes out to our $15 patrons. They are the ones that are the producers of this show, of this episode. So thank you goes out to 2022 Benjamin, AC Big Mac, Adam McLeod, Adrian Jones, Adrian Liu, Acura Kemp, Alex Rigel, Alan Crockett, Andy Taylor, Anita Maxwin, Austin Weaver, Author LM Wittenhagen, B Nation Betancourt, Bard Rushton, Ben Calloway, Ben Not Ben, Be Hostile, Big Poppy Sasquatch, Blake, Brad, Brady, Brandon Cannell, Brandon Shire, Bryce Burt, Buxo, Caleb Owens, Callum Wood, Cameron Noel, Carter, CB, Chupapi, Chickpea Beans, Christian Billick, Christian Ortega, Civ Delta, Cody Cook, Colin Roach, Connor Williamson, Crangus McBasketball, Crunchy Tomato, Dar, DJ Broadnax, Drew Ashford, Dumsky, Isaac, here we go, Isach Floppy Wiener. Nice, good. Fish Reel, and now we're on to page 2. If you guys just hang on with me for a second here. Forever Wrestling, Gamerscape, Garrett Coons, Gavin Alves, George Valdez, Gilbert Deans, Goated Sean, Harley McClure, Hawaiian Rick Boogs. Now we have Hawaiian Rick Boogs. Hayden Thornton, Heigl Svenir Hulderson, Ileana, Issa David, Itzamista, I'm Gonna Nut in Santi's Protein Shake, Jackson Conley, Jacob Marcel, Jacob Pena, Jacob Saffel, Jacob with a K, James Abel, Jassim Alcazar, Javier Arenas, Javier Prieto, Javier Rodriguez, Jean, Jennifer Johnson, Jeremy C. Moreau, Joe Velez, John Cena, John Diegidio, I butchered your name every single week, I apologize that, Jonah, Jonathan Daly, Jordan Lynch, Jorge Caballero, Joshua Warwick, Juan Verduzco, Judson Daniels, Juice Man Jeremy, Justin Perkins, Keontarius Jackson, Kevin Coughlin, Kian Dean, Lil Shifu, Liz, Mako Mac Gaming, Malik Graham, Manly Man, Manu 235, Manuel Marufo, Marcos Gonzalez, Mason Kirk, Mason Lott, Methuselah Honeysuckle, nice. Michael Glass, Michael Walter, Mohammed Akram Al-Madawi, Mohammed Al-Banai, Monte Moore, Mountain Paws, Mabusher Khan, Nick Harvey, Nicholas Kyle, Nighthawk, Owen Miller, Papaya King, Patrick Gripaldi, Phoenix, Prince Vegeta, Puerto Rican Rick Boogs. Now we got Puerto Rican Rick Boogs. Man, Rick Boogs is just all over the place. RTA, Rashad Wilson, Reaper God 145, Reese Dowd, Ricky Dutcher, Roberto Dickbutt, Rocky B, Ro Levy, Ryan Williams, Riley, Sancho eats corn the long way. Sancho hates Jay. Santi, is that a spider on your wall behind you? Santi's apps, receding hairline. Saudi Rick Boogs, the original one. Scoop Dub Nation, Scream Scott, Serenity, Shane, Sean, Sherry, Silver Football, Solo So Fat We Should Call Him Duo. Spencer Shinarts, Squishy, Star Wars Lover G, Stephen Rhodes, Stephen Amay, Stucky. We're on page 4, folks. Woo! Sullivan Mayer, Super Malachi Galaxy, The Gaming Freak YouTube, The B Meister, The Joe Man, The King Slayer, The McBro, Thiem, Tobias Burnett, Tom Lehman, Trent Head, Two Crown, Walker, Wesley Simpson, Whip One, Zan Frank, Javier Izquierdo, Yao Parda, Yellow Wonton, Zapola, and Zerg Zito. Woo, that is the most amount that we've ever had. So thank you all for your support. Thank you so much for being one of the supporters at the $15 tier. Appreciate you. Take care.